Hello, welcome back to Billy Ho's Sports. We are continuing that Pennsylvania Derby Day coverage at Parx. Literally the biggest card of the season, 15 races. And so most of the stakes races will be covered, all of them probably. We'll probably do some fun stuff. I believe like they call it the Philly Five or something like that, the Pick Five. So things of that nature are coming. Previews for the Pennsylvania Derby and the Cotillion should be out already. So give those a look. Weekly split the pot draw will be Thursday. And this video is covering a pair of great stakes races, the Gallant Bob and the Parx Dirt Mile. So remember that split the pot draw is a free $20 bet. We spin the wheel. So to be eligible for that race, you have to subscribe to the channel. You have to click that like button, leave a comment to get your name in the draw. And then we'll spin the wheel on Thursday and award a free $20 bet. Check the description for the details. Let's jump right into things with the Gallant Bob, 6 furlongs on the dirt. As you can see, we've got some pretty good horses in this race as well. So grade 2 Gallant Bob, 6 furlongs on the dirt. Retribution starts us off. Sherry DeVoe and Kendrick Harmouche looked good covering that 6.5 furlongs at Parx in the President's Sprint. It was a sloppy sealed or muddy sealed track that day. Didn't stop him from getting it done, and pressed the pace just fine. Got it going down the stretch. You can see Fire Pit is in this race as well. Beat that one and got clear by a half going away. Actually stumbled a bit at the start, so it wasn't off to the best of starts, but a really good race. 92 speed figure is not super impressive, but it's pretty decent because you can see the pars are much higher. 100 speed figure is the par. So that bodes, that pretty much lets you know where Retribution is at amongst this field. So it's one you can use on the outside, and you can see third and prime power. Gateskeeper comes in number 2, overmatched, out of place. Speed figures are low. They were running monster figures at Oaklawn Park alone. When I was covering Oaklawn Park earlier in the spring and late in the, I guess maybe even late in the winter, it was like a drag strip. They were running so fast, and all the pace figures were way in the plus columns. So you can see neither one of these are in the plus column at Oaklawn Park going 6 furlongs. And so he did get a win in the breaking the maiden, but a 76 couldn't crack 80 speed figure at Oaklawn Park. That's out. Waxbox, another local, trying to make good, won the last race at 75, but just drummed in most of the upper level races if they weren't state bred restricted. So that one got no shot. Alchemism, another one, no shot. And I'm just calling it like I see it. I've watched the replays on him too, beating 12 lengths in the President's Sprint. And a horse that's not even one of the top 2 choices, at least, and was beaten 12 lengths by that horse. Fire Pit's in this race. That one was beaten handily by what, 8 1/4 or something like that, 8 lengths. So beaten 12, beaten 8, beaten 6, beaten 17. What am I looking for here? Nothing. Barnes, you're back. What are we working with here? He looks back on track. I went back and rewatched the Jerkins a couple of times. There's just something with his body that doesn't look right. Either his chest is just too big for his legs, but he looks just like he's real stiff running down the stretch, like he doesn't have the fluid stride of other horses because his front end's so big. I guess that's just maybe my own observation, but he's plenty fast. I mean, he ran 104, 105, 95 in the debut, or I should say off the layoff after the disappointing 19 length hammering he took to journalism and Baeza. So that put me off of him badly. And he scratched out of several races coming in. So this might be just the spot, excuse me, for the Bob Baffert horse. He is getting Tyler Gaffley on aboard. A little bit different tactically. I don't know why he didn't get Irad. I tried to research it because Irad doesn't have a mount in this race. He's got mounts in other races, but he's not riding this particular race. So I don't know if it was a choice by Baffert not to call him, or maybe just Irad just said, I need to take this race off and be ready for the other ones coming. Not 100% sure, but I think he's eligible definitely to improve off the layoff. It's Bob Baffert shipping the angle of cross-country shipper in a graded stakes race. All hits the right buttons here. He just, maybe he's not fast enough for the Breeders' Cup Sprint because that's like going 6 furlongs, but I think he can handle this group just fine. He might be more of a dirt miler. He's like kind of in between. I think he can get a mile just fine, and I think maybe that's where Baffert might point him to if he wins this race. So Barnes, definite top contender. Now we got this other one here called Donut God, and if you remember doing all your research on your early Derby future pools, Donut God was highly thought of back then. But I don't know what happened to him. I didn't really look to see if there was injury concerns or anything interrupted the training. But you could see he won his first two races in 2024. The race he broke very well from the gate, ran this 97 in the inaugural and beat Naughty Rascal. Naughty Rascal came back to win the Pasco Stakes after that, so I thought that was pretty significant win for Donut God. But then he takes off the entire Derby Trail and the Triple Crown season, comes back July 18th at Monmouth, and is beaten by Neo Equos, who's in this race. But my case for him is he broke very slowly for a horse that likes to get to the lead. He was about 3 lengths back of the field coming out of the gate. So he had to rush up to catch up with everybody, which I think expended a little bit of extra energy. They get a -6 opening quarter, and then it picks up the pace a little bit, but at -6, -12 on the speed. That allowed Neo Equos and the leaders to set more reasonable fractions. So by the time Donut Guy was making his move, Neo had just had too much horse left, in my opinion, and he ended up cranking away, obviously winning by 3 3/4. So I think it'll be a different story this time around for Donut God. Second off the layoff for Brian Lynch, and Javier Castellano steps in. I like this horse. I don't know if I'll pick it to win, but I think we might be able to get some value with it being fifth in prime power. So maybe people are overlooking this horse somewhat. So keep an eye on it. Now, number 7, Madhouse. I do like the fact that they're picking up Paco Lopez and it's got 3 straight wins, but look at the company. I mean, it took several maidens, or a couple of maidens, and then tried a stakes race, but didn't get it done. Van Winkle takes over for Brendan Walsh, I should say, after the 14-length defeat. Then beaten 12, beaten 9, wins by 11. Finally breaks the maiden for 23K at Colby. I think that's Colby. None of this is impressive. I spent too much time at fourth in prime power. That's just pure garbage figures in my opinion. 12.5K for an optional claimer. Of course, if you're any kind of decent horse, you're going to plow that field just fine. So no shot to win this race in my opinion. If he does pull it off, props to Paco and the connections. Congratulations. Fire Pit, I don't think is going to be much of a contender either. Well, maybe. Based on the last outing, was a really nice 91 speed figure. Missed by a half length of Retribution, but with Retribution being on the lower tier as well, beaten 11 in the Jersey Shore by Neo Equos and Donut God. So that tells you enough. Some stakes experience, but drummed pretty well in most of them, like the Colonel Liam and the Swale. Future Stars beaten 10. So 2 wins and 4 starts at Parx, which is sort of significant, but not going to make my ticket. Friday Surprise comes in, beaten 10 in the President's Sprint. 1 win and 9 starts, weak figures, no class, connections, poor percentages. Another one with no shot. Now we get to Neo Equos. Very capable. I mean, we were all impressed with the run. Of course, he collapsed in the stretch under that immense pressure, but it was a really good run to be that far out in front when we said this horse has no business breaking from the outside post at 42-1. Then comes in, drummed in the Woody, tried to go back to a sprint, but really just had nothing. No turn, no kick in that one. It was a muddy mess that Saratoga may not have liked that very much. So then comes back to win the Jersey Shore. And I just explained that race. I thought he got the drop on Donut God from the very beginning of the race. He drew clear, so props for that. But then gets beat by Bourbon, or what's that called? Bourbon. Oh, I can't remember the name of it. My apologies, but 2 1/4 lengths defeated in that race. I thought that was a race he probably could have won. So coming into this race in pretty decent form off a couple of efforts, win in the second. People are going to know this horse. He was in the Kentucky Derby, probably going to take the most money, has IRAD aboard. So I will say this, if you think about track bias, the entire season, 250 races over the year, from the first of the year, the 8 post and beyond, 8%. So that's not very many. You can see the other ones. The inside posts really have, I mean, a 20% clip over 250 races on the rail, and then the inside 1 through 1, 2, 3 posts, pretty good, and even the 4 through 7 is fine at 12%. So that tells you a lot. It's really between Barnes, Donut God, and Neo Equos. You could probably just box those 3 in the try and call it a day. I might include the 1 Retribution for that inside rail trip. I think if he can get through clean and without being bottled up, he could steal a slice of the pie. Coming down to value, if I can get some good value on Donut God, I'm going to take it. I'm not necessarily selecting Donut God as the winner just yet because I really think Barnes can probably just dust him. So it's really a bit of an unknown. So I'm going to play the number 6 as a value play along with the 5 Barnes in the key box. Then we would probably go Neo underneath that, long shot Retribution, and then put the rest on a gift certificate. Let's move on to the Parx Mile. And I believe that race was 12. No, it was the race before. So I did go out of order, but that's okay because this race is much weaker than I was disappointed in this race because I had several that I had eyeball. Bishop's Bay was among them. Barnes was eyeballing this race too. Barnes probably could have dusted. I would have liked to have seen Barnes in this race. Then I would have thought maybe he'll be pointing to the Breeders' Cup Mile because I think he's a better fit for that, but I digress. Nelson Avenue, number 1 in Prime Power, running some pretty good speed figures. Last 2 races on the turf, lost by a neck in the first try, and then just beaten 9 in the Tappet at Kentucky Downs. You could draw a line through that. That race is meaningless to me with the track configuration and the fact that they're switching over to the dirt. So maybe that stretch drive and going a mile 70, now cutting back to a mile. I think that's a good idea by the connections. You can see a mile in the slop at Monmouth, lost by 5 lengths to Bishop's Bay. Bishop's Bay is not in this race. So best of the rest, not bad. 100K, decent effort at Aqueduct. Has some other good ones. So 1 for 1 at Parx. Won the Blitzen back in December, going 7 furlongs in the mud. So Nelson Avenue is probably one you should consider. Deposition is the 2 horse. Local horse, 11 Parx races, 1 3-1. Just 2 for 21 lifetime. Doesn't look close to being a competitive horse here. The speed figures are way too low. Does have 197 speed figure going this distance at Parx. So I guess that's something to hang your hat on, but it was just a 50K optional claimer. And that's all he's run is 40s and 50Ks right up through here. So I'm going to pass. Duke of Gloucester. I'm guessing that's how you say that. 1 is last, going 55, but the Mayor's Mile, beating 5.5. Far more power is in this race. Wins at 10, going a mile. Wins going a mile in the claiming ranks. So it has wins going a mile. Dexter Haddock keeps the mount, but I just don't know. It's another local horse with a vast racing career, 40 starts, 7 wins, 3 seconds, 8 thirds. That's not terrible. 2 for 6 at Parx. Mike Moore trains. He's got some big wins versus lesser at the track, but maybe value low end exotics play. I think like trifectas and supers, not even exacta. Dilger, I think looks pretty good. Safi Joseph trains. Irad gets the mount. 3rd consecutive ride for Irad. Just a really solid past class. Ran in the Lexington, was kind of on the Derby trail for a hot second, but was beaten 9 by Encino and the Wine Steward in the Lexington. Those didn't turn out to be really great horses, but still not a bad effort. Dueled for the show and prevailed. Then a couple of clunkers. The OC beaten at Monmouth, but then came back, bounced back good, only beaten 2 at excuse me, at Saratoga. Then 3rd in the stakes at Churchill. So and then drops to 25K and gets some good results. Runs in the grade 2 Carter. 3rd behind Crazy Mason and Quince Brew. I think that's pretty strong. Then the big drama as a clunker. So it's a very consistently inconsistent, but the only 2 races that look pretty consistent are his last 2. He ran for 75K, going 7 furlongs and a mile. So maybe he's finally coming around in later on in the summer here for Safi. And of course, 2 rides with Irad will help boost your speed figures, no problem. So this one's a competitor in my opinion, and could get the drop on this early group. Now, Catalytic sounds kind of familiar. He was on the Derby trail. Of course, he was beaten 13 lengths by Fierceness, and then obviously the clunker in the Kentucky Derby, no business in that race, in my opinion. The horse just wasn't as good. I thought Dwayne Lucas trained this horse at one time back then, but I don't quote me on that. But then comes out of the Kentucky Derby and just immediately comes off the layoff and just cranks one out in the summer, misses by a head in the carryback, and then they give him the rest of the year off and come back December 15th, misses by a head for 25K, misses by a neck, misses by 2.5, and then gets the win. Then Saffy takes over. Well, Saffy, when he gets these kind of horses, he really knows how to boost them. And he really got this one close in this 70K handicap, going a mile and an eighth, beating a neck, and then lost by a length and a quarter. In this one, I thought was a really good race. I like the consistency and the speed figures when he can get this 96 late speed figure hanging out down the stretch. That's when he looks his best. So hopefully with TGAF aboard, maybe that's a boost. This one's a definite contender in my book. Concealed carry. As soon as I saw that, I said, this has got to be a gun runner. Nope, competitive edge, but not much of a competitive edge here. The connections, Louis Linder's got two here. So when I first looked at this one, I thought, doesn't really look like he fits. Beaten by a mile in all his stakes races. Last December, he was beaten by 34 in the Chris Kringle, 26 in the Stymie, 11 in this optional claimer, 22, and then drops all the way to 40 and still beaten by 4 1/4 lengths. So I thought, well, this horse has no shot, but he might be in there just to run some interference for this one. Far Mo Power. Paco Lopez getting the mount, got some good finishes here. Almost got there in the Mayor's Mile. This was, I think, maybe a little bit on Paco. As much as I love me some Paco Lopez, you can see he's winning at like a 28% clip. He dominates up in the little bit lesser tracks that he rides at. He dominates 58% in the money. He is 4 out of 5 in the money in the last 60 days with Louis Linder. That's strong. So I'm definitely playing this one in the exotics no matter what. But what happened in the Mayor's Mile is Paco was being Paco. He hits the stretch in the lead, and he's more worried about the horse to his outside and beating that horse that he doesn't see awfully cool coming in on the rail. So he can get caught slipping sometimes, but when he's on his game, there's nobody better. So I think he gets it done here, and he runs a good race. Whether he wins or not, it's a different story, but I think he's going to be amongst the competitors. You don't run these kind of speed figures over and over again and not be a consistent horse. So Coastal Mission rounds out the field. Or no, one more after that. But your returning Parx Dirt Mile champion wins the 49er, going a mile. The Cigar Mile, that was a little over his head, but it was a really good field. You had Locked, Mulligan, Post Time. He's not facing any of those here. The Toboggan, probably should have performed better as the beaten favorite there. Not really sure what happened to him in that one. One-paced race. Maybe he just didn't get to fire because he is a presser. So with a little bit more, like in the Stymie, he should have probably performed better with a better pace. But the top two horses came back and won their next out. So he just got bumped at the start, weakened late, going a mile. So not really sure. Coming in off a 7-month or 6-month layoff. So maybe they saw something they didn't like and said, we need to take this one back into training or just give him a break. But he's now 6 years old, normally goes on the same cycle, didn't debut in 2024 till August and runs 4 races. So on par with really just a regular season for this one. So I'm not really sure what to think about him coming into this race. I don't know if it's maybe just getting a little older, maybe is a problem. Sometimes they hit their peak at 5 and then don't really perform all that well at 6. So something leads me to believe there was some regression going on here. I don't know what to think, but maybe a little bit better performance coming back to familiar territory where the big win came last September. So we'll see. Rounding out with silent mode, 3 things: poor speed, poor connections, poor class. Out. I mean, you're not even getting a 90 speed figure in here in the claiming ranks. So that is a no-go for me. So that rounds out our video for the Parx Dirt Mile and the Gallant Bob. So Coastal Mission looks better off the second layoff. And then I went back and looked. His previous races coming in off the layoffs before he's won. So I thought maybe looking here, coming in off the layoff, he got beat 7 in the Charlestown Classic. I thought, well, maybe that, but that's not really even that long of a layoff. So I don't know, coming in 6 months off, how he'll do. But I think that the training up to it is what I liked, because you got 1 out of 10, 4 and 47, 2 out of 20, 3 and 36, 5 and 101, but another bullet, 4 and 47, another bullet, 3 and 35. So he's definitely been training his ass off since August hit. So I think he's really pushed forward for this race. Could very well get it done. I'll have to watch the tote board to see where the money's coming from. Arn Boca Chica keeps the mount like he has for the foreseeable past. So I always like a steady jockey on a steady horse. So 33% in routes is pretty strong for Boca Chica. 74% in the money. So wherever he's riding, he's getting it done. So anyway, like I said, another awesome beginning to the Parx Racing card. Make sure you check out the 2 preview videos for the 2 big grade ones for the men's and the ladies. We have the Penn Derby, the feature, then the Cotillion, which is almost just as good or better group of fillies coming in. We have these 2 races plus more. There's a Parx Sprint, Greenwood Cup, and others, plus a couple of Churchill Downs races I really want to get into. So I might have like a Friday video coming out. I normally like to finish up on Thursdays and then try to just kind of reset myself and then look up stuff and be ready for the morning scratches on Saturday, which I failed to mention before. Always check back on Saturday morning for the post-scratch adjustments, especially in the Pick 5 videos. So, split the pot draw coming Thursday. Make sure you're subbed to the channel, smashing that like button, leaving that comment, all that kind of good stuff to help out the channel. I really do appreciate everybody joining me. Thanks again. We'll see you soon.